Hello, friends of Horizons of Knowledge. Welcome to our space where we explore stories, cinema, and culture. Today, we're going to delve into a topic that has generated much anticipation and debate: Gladiator 2, the long-awaited sequel to an immortal classic that many of us have been eager to see. When Gladiator 2 was announced, expectations were through the roof. The original film, directed by the legendary Ridley Scott and starring Russell Crowe, won 5 Academy Awards, including Best Picture and Best Actor. It captivated us with its powerful narrative, memorable characters, and a historical setting that transported us to the heart of the Roman Empire. Deep themes like honor, vengeance, and sacrifice resonated with audiences around the world, turning Gladiator into a modern cinematic masterpiece. The idea of a sequel that continued the story through Lucius, the son of Lucilla, sounded promising. Many of us wondered how this new installment would develop and whether it would live up to its predecessor. However, after watching the film, I must say that it didn't meet my expectations. And today, I want to share with you a detailed analysis of why I feel that Gladiator 2 didn't live up to the legacy of the original. Let's start by talking about the plot. The story is set 20 years after the events of the first film. Lucius, portrayed by Paul Mescal, has grown up and finds himself in a Roman Empire steeped in corruption and decay. The current emperor is tyrannical, and the people are clamoring for change. Lucius becomes embroiled in a series of events that lead him to question his place in the world and his role in Rome's future. Although this premise had great potential, the execution left much to be desired. The story lacks the emotional depth that made the original a masterpiece. Lucius's internal conflict and his struggle against new antagonists fail to connect in the same way as Maximus's quest for vengeance and redemption. In Gladiator, every action Maximus took was driven by a clear and powerful motivation: to honor his family and restore his honor. In contrast, Lucius's motivations feel more diffuse and less urgent. Furthermore, the film introduces several secondary characters who could have added richness to the story but unfortunately are not sufficiently developed. Another aspect that disappointed me was the representation of political intrigues in Roman society. In the first film, we were presented with a complex panorama of power, corruption, and internal struggles within the empire. In this sequel, the political intrigues are superficial and lack the tension and suspense that could have enriched the plot. It feels like a missed opportunity to explore the historical context and power dynamics of the era more deeply. The action scenes, although well choreographed, don't have the same impact as in the original. The battles in the Colosseum were spectacular not only for their visual grandeur but because they were loaded with emotional and narrative significance. In Gladiator 2, the combat scenes seem to be there more out of obligation than to serve the story. Now, I would like to delve into how I believe the plot could have been more impactful and how certain changes could have significantly improved the film. First, the idea of revealing that Lucius is actually Maximus's secret son would have added a much more potent level of emotional depth and internal conflict. Imagine Lucius discovering his true lineage and confronting the legacy of a father who is considered a legendary hero. This discovery could have been a catalyst for his development as a character, forcing him to confront his own insecurities and expectations. This internal conflict would have created a narrative parallel to Maximus's but with its own particularities. While Maximus fought to avenge his family and restore his honor, Lucius could have struggled to live up to a legacy he never knew he had, questioning what it means to be a leader and what kind of man he wants to be. Second, introducing an antagonist with greater depth and charisma would have elevated the dramatic tension of the film. A villain with complex motivations, perhaps someone close to Lucius who becomes his rival, would have added layers of complexity to the plot. For example, a childhood friend who, driven by ambition or desperation, takes a path opposite to Lucius. This antagonist could have represented the moral and ethical dilemmas that Lucius must face, reflecting the temptations of power and corruption. Third, delving into the political intrigues and the decline of the Roman Empire would have added richness and realism to the story. Showing Lucius navigating through corruption, conspiracies, and power struggles would have. Another key aspect is the development of the protagonist. As I mentioned before, Paul Mescal is a talented actor, but his portrayal of Lucius fails to capture the same strength and charisma that Russell Crowe brought to Maximus. In Gladiator, Maximus was a multidimensional character, with a mix of bravery, vulnerability, and determination that made him highly human and relatable. For Lucius to be on par, it would have been necessary to explore his psychology, fears, desires, and contradictions more deeply. For example, We could have seen Lucius dealing with the weight of expectations, both his own and others. If there had been scenes showing his internal doubts, his moments of weakness, and how he overcomes them, it would have been easier for the audience to empathize with him. It would also have been interesting to explore his relationship with other characters, like his mother Lucilla, and how his past influences his present decisions. The soundtrack is another element that deserves attention. In the first film, the music by Hans Zimmer and Lisa Gerrard not only accompanied the scenes but amplified every emotion and elevated every moment. It was an integral part of the cinematic experience. In Gladiator 2, the soundtrack is functional but lacks that emotional impact. There are no memorable themes that stay in the viewer's mind, and that's a real shame. A powerful soundtrack could have compensated for some of the narrative's weak points. I also would have liked to see a more daring cinematic direction. Ridley Scott is known for his visual mastery and ability to create unique atmospheres. On this occasion, the direction feels more conventional, lacking that distinctive touch that made the first film special. In conclusion, Gladiator 2 had all the elements to be a memorable sequel but failed to achieve the greatness of the original. A stronger plot, better developed characters, and an impactful soundtrack would have made a big difference. It's a missed opportunity to expand the universe of one of the most beloved films of recent decades. But this is just my opinion, and I'd love to know what you think. Did you see the film? Do you agree with my points or have a different perspective? What did you like, and what would you have changed? I invite you to leave your comments below and engage in an interesting debate about this long-awaited sequel. Thank you for joining me in this detailed analysis of Gladiator 2. If you liked the video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to Horizons of Knowledge for more content on stories, cinema, and culture. Activate the notification bell so you don't miss our upcoming videos. See you next time.